Hello?
Hey, how you doing?
Good, how are you?
Okay, well, I'm doing okay. Are we live or are you recording for a later date?
We're recording for a later date.
Okay, cool. I was just curious.
Yeah.
Well, hello. Thanks for having me on the show. I'm not sure how this works. First time I've done it.
Yeah, here. Um, where are you calling from?
uh, what town? Chesterton, Indiana.
Indiana? Oh, that's cool.
Yeah,
So let's just get this podcast started. Um,
yeah,
how,
sure.
how many vinyls do you have?
I don't have an exact number.
Uh, so
I
so
am,
what's like
and
a guess?
my guess, at least 5,000.
Oh,
At
geez.
least I'd say, yeah, I'd say closer to 6 or 7,000. That's just the collection. I also do buy and sell, so I have thousands upon thousands of unprocessed stock that sit around my house as well.
Geez. What artists do you have the most of?
I was wondering about that question because what I have the most of is not an artist but a topic,
Uh,
and that is I'm a big Rocky Horror fan, Rocky Horror Picture Show,
yeah.
and I collect vinyl music related to the Rocky Horror Show, related to the stage show, related to um, actors that were in the film, cover versions of the songs, that kind of thing. I've got probably a 500-piece collection just dealing with Rocky Horror.
Geez. That's insane.
But, I mean, yeah, I know. The
Mhm.
Rocky Horror Collection is definitely something I've been doing that since I was 16, so that's built up over time.
And
But there's always new recordings
yeah.
discovered that us few Rocky Horror audio collectors didn't know existed. They keep popping up, and we're like, Jesus, it just doesn't stop.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And what made you start collecting vinyls?
I mean, when I was a teenager, that's how I listened to music on vinyl. So at that point, I wasn't really collecting, as we think of it today. I was just buying records that I wanted to listen to. The Rocky Horror thing kind of got me into the more collector aspect of it because that's where I just started discovering different pressings, different masterings and all that stuff. And that led me into starting to collect other artists in that fashion, like I was Rocky Horror, like
Yeah.
trying to be a completist at one point. And then I did that, for years. And then about 10 years ago, I was like, because I'd go to record shows and stuff. I'm like, I could do this. I could go to garage sales and buy a collection and keep stuff for $1 and sell off the rest. And that kind of spiraled from there. And we're where I'm at right now with
Yeah.
yeah.
So what
Um,
what is your most expensive vinyl?
the most expensive is you want me to show it or just tell you?
You can show it if you got it.
Yeah, I got it. I pulled the stuff that you were asking about. This one right here, if you can see it there. It's
Yeah, I can see it.
yeah. Yeah, are you familiar with the record?
No, I'm not actually.
Okay, I wasn't either when I bought it. It's a kind of cool story. Um I saw it, a friend of mine owned a hippie shop slash record store, and she had it in her shop. I didn't know what it was, but the cover looked cool because it's got this one, I could tell it was a private press. Two, it's got this cellophane cover with the insert that comes out. And I was like, that really looks cool. I'm interested in it. And we looked it up, and apparently, well, we both looked up, what it was and what it was worth.
Mhm.
And apparently, we looked up a repress, which was going for about $60. She's like, here, yeah, you
Yeah.
can have it for $20. I got it home to find out it's this really rare psych album that a lot of people are after, and it's going for thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
That's expensive.
yeah, I've been offered like $4,000 for that record.
Jeez.
Serious. Yeah. But I really like the record, so I'm like, nah, I'm gonna hold on to it. Yeah.
Do you think it'll go? Let's see. So do you think that? So do you think that album that we were talking about? Do you think it will go up in price?
I don't know if it's reached its plateau or not. I've looked at its history. It's gone up, as far as to this point, it used to be like around $1,000 record, and now I'm seeing it go up to like three. Now mine is the cover, the seam is torn on the top, so that's gonna hurt it, of course, but still.
Yeah.
Actually, a lot of the ones I've seen going for those high prices are in comparable condition.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Do you?
I actually honestly just kept it because I really like the record.
Yeah. Do you collect 45s too, or just albums?
I do 45s, not as much as I do albums, but I like 45s. That's something I got into after I started dealing because I started finding the rare soul stuff and the rare garage rock, and I'll hold on to stuff that I like,
Yeah.
but it's not like a focus like some of the 45 guys I know who that's all they do.
Yeah. Do you rather have a original or pressed album reprint?
Um, it depends. Most of the time, it depends on what I know about the mastering of that album. The digital versus analog chain and the mastering whatnot. Sometimes if I'll keep an original. I'm trying to think of one. The Cure, Disintegration. Those
Yeah.
original, they sound like ass because they compressed it and put too much music on one album. But I like having an original, so I have both. I have the original and then I have the 2 LP repress.
Jeez.
It all depends on what I know about that particular record's history.
What was the first album you ever bought?
Oh man, from my memory, I didn't buy it, but from my memory, I can't remember what the first album I bought was because I've been buying records since I was a little kid. I've
Yeah.
always, yeah, I've always been into music. I was the weird kid. I didn't like doing sports. I didn't like doing all that stuff. I did music, even as a kindergartner and beyond. But first remember album I can remember receiving is Zeppelin 4, and I
Zeppelin
was
4.
like 3 years old.
Oh wow, that that's a good one.
I had a little Fisher Price record player, and I'm not even sure why I got Zeppelin 4 because my mom wasn't into that. My mom was she was a country and 50s and 60s, what she grew up on.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure why or where I got Zeppelin 4 at that age, but I did, and I played it on my little Fisher Price, or I think that one was a Mickey Mouse. It was a little Mickey Mouse record.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You said you sell records too?
yeah, I do it as a side thing, pretty much to support the hobby, especially in this day and age. You kind of, if you're not rich already or well off, you kind of need to, which I
Oh,
am not.
you just sell like just online and stuff?
I don't like online much. If I think the record warrants it, it's not going to find its audience through my usual in-person avenues. Yeah, I'll sell it online, but I mostly do record shows. That's what I like doing. I like dealing in person. I like someone being able to see what they get
Yeah.
rather than having someone be like, well, I don't agree with your grading and have to deal with you know the returns and all that. I'd just rather do it in person and be like, yeah, this is what it is.
Yeah. Um what is your newest vinyl that you have bought recently?
Newest vinyl, my most recent acquirement.
Yeah.
This was a pre-order that just came in last week. This typo negative here. Uh, Revolver, the metal magazine, did a reissue of it, and that just came in last week. I was wondering about it because it'd been like 6 months or better since I ordered. I'm like, I wonder what ever happened to that. typo negative reissue, and then it showed up. I'm like, okay, cool.
I know you just forget about things and then it just shows up in your mail.
Yeah, I do like that about pre-orders, how I'll forget about it and then it shows up. I'm like, oh yeah,
Yeah.
cool.
um like what I know you said Rocky Horror Picture Show, but what other artists that you like that you have a lot of?
That I have a lot of. I was thinking about that because I wasn't sure if you wanted the Rocky Horror thing as an answer
No,
because
the
it's
Rocky
not.
Horror is cool. Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
but I got a pretty decent Ramones collection. I got a Bowie,
Oh, that's
decent
cool.
Bowie. Yeah, decent AC/DC Prince. I'm a big Prince fan, big Floyd fan. Um, I'm looking around. Here's the room, a little bit of it anyway.
Oh, cool. Wow.
Yeah, yeah, it's in major disarray right now because I'm trying to figure out where to store all these other records that aren't in the collection but waiting to be processed. What I say, Floyd, Prince,
Do you collect
B-52s.
do you collect the Beatles?
Yeah. I collect the Beatles. I went less hardcore on the Beatles. I started, collecting all the different pressings that I thought were cool, and it got to be too much. I mean, for the Beatles, it was just too much for me. In addition to the rest of my collection, I was like, I'm gonna thin this out and just keep the best sounding pressings or the ones that sometimes, like the White Album on white vinyl from '70. And I'm like, okay, that's cool. I'll keep that. But
Oh, that's
I
kind of
thinned it out a lot.
yeah. Um yeah, that's pretty cool. It looks like you have a really, really big collection.
Yeah, I'm not showing all of it because it's in just here. I can go around the room a little bit,
That's
but
cool.
yeah.
And
And
do you buy all your records in person? Like all of them?
what do you mean? Do I just buy in the wild or online or what?
Yeah. Do you buy them like just like random like shops or whatever, or do you go like on the
I mean,
internet?
I buy them everywhere. I'll go online if I feel it's necessary. I do like buying in person better. I'll frequent the shops and occasionally when a collection gets this big, it's hard to find stuff that is actually worth buying at retail prices anymore. So I'm not going to say I never buy from shops, but I try to frequent them and I try to find something. But most of my stuff comes from flea marketing, garage sailing, estate sales.
Yeah,
That's where
you
the
really
majority of
find
my stuff. And of course, there's plenty of
find
stuff like
stuff.
that typo negative. I'm never going to find that in a estate sale. So yeah, that stuff I buy new and at retail. But
Yeah.
the majority of my collection is flea markets, and then finding better copies and upgrading and selling off the worst ones. That's how I do it.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's fun. I love owning the record, but the thrill of the hunt is part of the motivation. The hunt, when you find that gem at a garage sale for whatever, $1, $5, whatever they're charging, that's exhilarating, man.
Yeah, especially and some people don't realize that they underpriced it and
Right.
for a cheaper price than what it's actually worth.
Right. And you know what? I try not to be unfair. Okay, so say if I go to a garage sale or I go to an estate sale and
Yeah.
they've got the records set at a price, they're an estate sale company. If they didn't do their work and I get a deal, that's great. I don't feel bad about that. But if someone comes at me and like, okay, what are my records worth? I can't lie to them
Yeah.
usually. So but usually even then, if I'm like, look, this record's actually worth this much money, most of the time, most people, because they just want to get rid of them, they don't want to deal with them anymore. So they're like, okay, I understand what you're saying. I don't want to go on eBay and sell it. So how much will you offer me? And I'll make them a
Yeah.
fair offer. And they'll be like, okay, cool. So I'm still getting a deal and not ripping someone off. And
Yeah,
because
yeah.
yeah,
Mhm.
I'm not into duping people.
No, I wouldn't. I wouldn't be either. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was really nice having you.
Oh yeah, cool. Any other questions? Anything else you want to see?
Um, do you have you ever came across the Butcher album of the Beatles?
I have not. I don't own one, and I've never come across. Well, I'm not in the wild.
Yeah.
I've seen them, at stores and whatnot, but that one, that one is I've always told myself I'm not going to buy one at retail. I am going to find my Butcher in the wild, and it's kind of like a goal. So yeah.
Yeah.
I almost had one. I'm so upset. I almost had one. A buddy of mine who I work with sometimes runs a flea market, and he had one come through his door,
Wow.
and some other local record dealer like got there before I did, and I was like, so I almost had one last year, but this close, but not close enough.
And do you have multiple copies of Abbey Road, or only one copy?
I do. I want to say I know I have a US original. I have the MoFi.
Yeah.
What else do I have? You know what? That might be. I might have purged some. Let me look.
Uh,
Let me see how many Abbey Roads I have. All right. Okay, there's an original. What is this one? Oh, I think that's just a different. Okay, I've got 2 US originals, 3 US originals. I guess I didn't purge those.
Jeez.
And then a MoFi. So yeah, I've got 4 copies of Abbey Road.
So do you think a MoFi sounds better than the original?
I've listened to it, and I've listened to, what other people have to say, people who have way higher end systems than I do.
Yeah.
And I kind of agree with them. I do think, which is weird because I actually like high end, but I think the high end is boosted a bit too much on the MoFi stuff, on most of the Beatles MoFi stuff. So it's not the best pressing, but it's not terrible. The vinyl on it is super quiet. If you get a nice clean copy, the vinyl is totally quiet on it.
Jeez.
But yeah.
So you think a MoFi 5 would be worth having more than an original?
More than original?
Yeah.
No, I'd say I prefer the sound of the original. I'd take a super clean original over the MoFi, but finding them in that condition is so hard. And
Especially Beatles, yes.
unless you get lucky, it's also expensive to find a nice clean original. So
yeah, a lot of
you're looking at the MoFi and a nice clean original running around the same price. So you really at that point got to kind of decide, which sound works for you at that point.
yeah.
So yeah. You're a big Beatles fan, I'm assuming?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Yeah, no, I love the Beatles actually. I've always loved the Beatles.
Yeah, and I just did an interview with a guy who had a giant Beatles collection.
Oh, really?
Yeah. He had
that's cool.
He had autographs, he had everything.
Oh, yeah, no autographs, man.
Yeah.
I'm not that cool.
Yeah.
He had
from like Linda and Paul and Ringo.
Well, actually, no. I take that back. I do have a Paul autograph.
You do?
That I sale.
Where did you say you sold it?
I haven't sold it yet because I don't know what to price it at because I don't have any verification. Yeah. I'm positive it's real because of where it came from. Because I got it at a garage sale. It was this guy had passed on, so they were selling on his stuff, and he was a collector of a lot of stuff, toys, comic books, blah blah blah. He obviously knew what he was doing, and like thrown under this table, like out of the way that I almost didn't even see it, was just this box of Paul McCartney paraphernalia, like magazines and stuff.
Yeah.
And then I saw there was a copy of All the Best in there. I'm like, oh, cool, copy of All the Best. How much you want for it? $1. Okay. And I start looking at it and I'm like, well, there's writing on the cover. And not soon after that, I'm like, that's an autograph. Shit. Holy crap. That's an autograph. Yeah, autographed in a silver pen. I was like, wow, Okay, yeah, and so that was the story on that. So that's my only Beatles autograph right now.
That is cool.
Yeah,
Have you picked up any other autographs, or was that the only one?
yeah. Let's see. I got a Monkeys album autographed by Davy Jones.
Oh,
I got a Gary Newman album that was autographed. I'm trying to think of something really mind blowing. I've picked up a couple of. This is part of the Rocky Horror collection and part of my collection. I kind of, as you can see here, these boxes, these are all my Rocky stuff,
oh
and I
wow.
keep them separate. I consider them as like kind of a separate collection. And Meatloaf used to be part of that collection, but it got so big that I couldn't contain it within those boxes. So now it's in my regular collection. But that's not the point. The point is, yeah, I picked up like 2 autographed Meatloaf albums
Jeez.
in the wild. Yeah, I've got one that I actually had autographed by him. It was it's his first album he did for Motown with a singer named Stoney, who later went on to do backing vocals for Bob Seger, among other people. But I know I'm trying to think. There's another mine. Oh, I've got a. It's not an album. It's an album flat. You know those promotional 12-inch flats they
Yeah.
used to do. It was for Aerosmith's Nine Lives album, and it's autographed by like 3 of the 4 members.
Is Steven
And
Tyler?
that was just hiding inside a Who album.
Jeez. Is Steven Tyler in one of them?
Yeah, yeah. Steven
Wow.
Tyler's one of them. Yeah,
That
I
is
found that. I bought a Who album. It was like Who's Last. It's some compilation album for $1. I didn't even know it was in there after I got it home. I was looking at it and pulling it out, and I was like, "What's this?" And yeah, it was just stuck inside the album. I'm like, whoa.
Jeez, that is
Thing.
insane.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah. I probably would have been flipping out. That is, I like Aerosmith.
I'm a fan of 70s Aerosmith. I wasn't so much into the 80s and 90s stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah.
That is really cool.
So yeah, yeah. I can't think of any other. I know I have more autograph stuff that was just mind blowing. Oh, I got a Budgie album autographed.
That's
That
cool.
one was mind blowing because because Budgie was such an underground niche band. I would autographed by I think all 4 members, and I didn't realize it. Once again, much like Paul McCartney, I thought it was just scribbling on the album. I thought someone had just written on the album cover
Yeah.
until I got home and really inspected. I'm like, oh, no, those are autographs.
How'd you get the Davy Jones one?
Found it at an estate sale.
Oh, that is cool.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. I found an estate sale. They didn't go through the records, or they just wanted rid of them. So yeah, I paid $1 for it.
Yeah, definitely wouldn't get rid of autographs.
Right.
If I were them.
At that estate sale, there were actually quite a few. I can't remember what else I got. I know there were quite a few autographed albums at that estate sale. It was nothing. I think Davy Jones was like the best one. You know, everyone else was kind of like, whatever. Maybe a Cat Stevens, but yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was cool.
That's really cool. Thanks for showing your collection to me.
Oh, hey, no problem, man. I hope does well on the show for you.
Okay, thank you. Have a good one.
You too.
Thank you guys for watching our interview. Don't forget to check us out on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio podcast, and more every Saturday night at 8. My name is Nick.
And I'm Frederick.
And this has been the Music Podcast. Don't forget to check us out every Saturday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, wherever you get your podcast.